Hello and welcome to today's intermediate Pilates mat session with me, Sue from Fit Panda. So for today, we're just going to be using the mat, and if there are any props that you'd like to use during the session, you can go ahead and get those ready, such as a towel or perhaps something to sit on when we're doing our seated exercises. We're going to start by standing towards the top edge of your mat, spacing the feet hip width apart and arms lengthened down beside the body. And then we're just going to stay standing to begin with and slowly start to shift the weight into the front of the feet. So I'm leaning into my toes until I feel the toes start to grip into the mat, and there's almost that feeling of falling forward, but you're just about catching yourself. And then we're going to sway backwards into the heels and do the same thing here where the toes feel light and you almost feel like you could fall backwards. And let's go 2 more times. And just challenge yourself to lean to that point where it starts to feel a little bit dangerous. And feel what's happening within your body as you do this, feeling the muscles starting to wake up, catching you as you sway forward and back. And then we'll come to the center again, so spreading the weight out equally through the feet from toes to heels. Let the knees soften, curl your head forward as you breathe in. And then exhale, we're going to start to slowly roll our way down through the spine, lengthening through the back of the neck, arms hanging. You're going to go as low as you can go, and then we're just going to stay here and start to bend the knees a little bit more, almost as though you're trying to pull the knees in towards your chest as you breathe in. And then on the exhale, straighten the knees as much as you can. So we're looking to ideally completely straighten the legs if you can, just to get that stretch into your hamstrings. And we're going to do that again. So we'll bend the knees on the inhale and then exhale to stretch them out, almost like a little bouncy feeling to the back of the legs. And one more time, we bend and we straighten out completely. And then we just go for that soft bend into the knees. Take a breath and roll your way back up, keeping the softness to the knees as we articulate up through the spine. Once the head has lifted and you're standing tall, we're going to sweep the arms up overhead to interlace your fingers and flip the palms to face up to the ceiling. So stretching through the fingers and the hands and leaning over to the right hand side. So pulling on that left arm to get the side stretch, and then we'll come through the center and exhale to go the other way. Then back to the center again. You can release your arms back down beside the body, soften the knees as you breathe in to bring the head forward. And let's go for another roll down, lengthening forward over the legs towards your mat, going as low as you can go, maybe feeling that you could go a little lower than you did on the previous one. And we're going to do the same little bouncy hamstring stretch where we bend the knees on the inhale and exhale to try to straighten them out. And we'll go 2 more. And straighten, and 1 more, and straighten out the back of the legs, and then soften the knees again as you breathe in. Draw navel to spine, start to slowly roll your way back up, vertebra for vertebra, keeping the legs in the same position, just building up through your spine. Once we're standing, I'm going to again interlace the fingers, but this time behind my back, and I'm going to place my hands into my lower back. So the palms of my hands are now shining backwards, sort of towards where my foam rollers are, elbows coming in kind of in line with the body. And we're going to keep the arms there and go for a roll down again. So head coming forward, soften your knees, roll down, keeping your hands against your lower back. So it's a little bit more kind of risky now without the arms out in front of you. Once you've gone as low as you can go, just to add into that challenge of balancing, try to bring the weight more into your toes and less into your heels. Breathe in and roll back up, trying to keep the weight in the toes. So you should feel the activation of the back of the legs, of the abdominals as you restack your spine. Once the head is lifted, keep your knees softly bent, but we're going to straighten the arms, pull down on the arms and open up your chest towards the ceiling for a little shoulder stretch. And then again, we're going to replace the hands into the lower back, and we're going to do it all again. So head forward, breathe in. As you roll down, the hands stay against the back, the elbows just stay kind of droopy. You're going to roll as low as you can go, looking in towards your own legs. Try to bring the weight into the toes again, less into the heels. Take a breath and then start to roll your way back up again, vertebra for vertebra. Once the head is lifted, keep the knees soft, but inhale to straighten the arms and open up the chest towards the ceiling. And then on the exhale breath, we'll just softly bend the elbows, undo the interlace of the fingers, and take a step forward on your mat into a little lunge to come down onto your mat, so that we can set up on all fours. So we're coming into 4-point kneeling, like you're going to go into a cat-cow stretch, but we're going to be mixing it up a little bit today. So knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders with equal pressure through all 4 of those little points. And then like a Superman to begin with, I'm going to be in neutral, supporting from the abdominals, but I'm going to send the weight down into my left hand and my right knee. So opposite hand to knee is going to take the weight, so that the other hand, your free hand, can glide forward and the free leg can glide back. So I've got one straight leg, one straight arm. They're going to float up off the floor into your kind of traditional Superman position here. Make sure the arm that's still on the mat is staying nice and strong. Then turn the palm of your lifted hand inwards to face in towards you. Take a breath there, and as we round into our cat stretch, we're going to actually bend the knee and the elbow so that they can come towards each other and try to touch them together underneath you. And your neck will also be rounded, so you will see your knee as it comes into your elbow. And then inhale, we're going to lengthen back out again with the leg and the arm included. So exhale as you tuck into your rounded cat stretch, you bring knee to elbow, and then we lengthen back out on the inhale breath. Let's do it 2 more times. Pull in through your abdominals as you round and you tap, and then lengthen. Think about your arm and your leg almost being like an extension of your spine. And let's do it 1 more time. We bring it in, and we lengthen back out into your Superman. And then you can glide that hand and knee back in underneath your body. Try not to have to shift around too much. Just start to press down into the other hand and knee so that we can do the other cross pattern. So now the other hand and leg will slide out away from each other. Make sure it's opposite hand to leg, otherwise you're just going to tip over. And then we'll float the arm and the leg up into your Superman position. Rotate your palm of hand to face in towards your body. At this point, I want that leg to be super straight, but the hip is still facing down to the mat. Haven't opened up the hip. Take a breath. And then we're going to draw knee to elbow as you round into your cat stretch. They tap, and then inhale, lengthen out, feeling that extension of your spine through the arm and leg. And we round and tap. And we lengthen back out into a Superman. You've got 2 more. Remember to keep pressing strongly through that one arm that you still have on your mat. And 1 more time, and we tap. And we lengthen back out just to finish the movement. And then you can bring your hand and your knee back down onto the floor, and we're going to press back into your rest position. If you need a bit more space in your hips, you can open your knees out a little bit wider. We're just lengthening the spine, stretching out the arms and the wrists, taking 2 deep breaths. And then we're going to curl forward again to be on your hands and your knees again, so back in our normal 4-point setup, but with the toes tucked in this time. So spreading the weight out through your hands, get a nice broad upper back position and feel the support of your tummy muscles before we just start to lift the knees up off the floor. So just float them up to begin with, kind of in a hovering plank, and remember this shape because we're going to come back to it before you press up into your downward facing dog. So I'm going to lift the sitting bones up to the sky, roll the shoulder blades back and down, and as we look towards the feet, we'll do our alternating hamstring stretch. So letting one knee bend as you press the opposite heel straight down towards the mat, and then switching to the other leg. Really trying to press the heel into the mat if you can. And let's do 1 more with each leg. Then you'll come up high onto your toes, try to straighten out the legs and pivot forward through the shoulders so that you're looking at your hands. Then bend the knees and come back to your hovering plank where we were to begin with and hold it for 5, 4, keep pushing into the arms, 3, 2, and 1. And then you can lower your knees all the way down towards the floor, and let's sweep those legs around and in front of you so that we can come to lie down on our backs. So you can set up in your normal pelvic curl position, but with our arms in a low V. So I've taken the arms just off the sides of the mat, or the hands just off the sides of the mat, with my palms facing up to the ceiling. so that you can open up through your chest and your collarbones and just kind of feel that neutral spine becoming heavy and resting into the mat comfortably. Feet and knees are hip width apart. Then we'll take a deep breath in there. And on the exhale, you're going to start to tilt the pelvis towards the rib cage to imprint that lower spine into the mat. And then we'll lift the tailbone and just slowly peel up into your bridge position. Squeezing the glutes at the top, gripping with the feet into the floor as though you were trying to pull your feet towards your body this time. So we want to feel the hamstrings activate, but your neck and shoulders are relaxed. Take a breath there at your top phase of your bridge, and then we'll roll back down on the exhale. So rib cage first and pelvis coming down last, softening back to your neutral spine as you inhale. And then on the exhale again, draw the navel in to tuck the pelvis, and then we'll use the legs to slowly peel up. But don't forget about the abdominals as you roll up. I'm still connected through the tummy muscles, navel to spine, still trying to keep the pelvis tucked. Take a breath at the top, and then roll your way back down. And it's a nice straight line articulating down into the mat with your spine till the pelvis lands. Everything kind of softens for a moment here in your neutral. And you should feel that you're in the center of your pelvis. And then just think about gently swaying your hips or your pelvis from side to side. So I'm rocking the pelvis. Of course, the legs will rock with your pelvis because they're attached. But focus more on the movement of your pelvis than the movement of your legs. So you really feel that you're rolling over the center to one side and over the center to the other side. And let's go one more time each way. And then you can bring the pelvis back to the center, and we'll keep it there. So pelvis is back in the middle. We're going to bring the arms down beside the body with the palms facing down. So now I've got a little bit of pressure into the back of the arms, more of that kind of traditional pelvic curl position. We are going to be doing some heel raises this time as we go up. So if you feel that your feet are too far away from you for the heel raises to work comfortably, you can just bring the feet in a little closer towards the sitting bones. We're going to breathe in, prepare, expand the ribs. Then we're going to tuck. Abdominals first, then the legs are going to help peel you up into the perfect bridge position. So think about being a straight line from your shoulders to your knees, keeping the tuck of the pelvis, and the legs are still hip width apart. And then we will stay here as the weight goes into the toes and the heels lift up off the floor for your heel raise. Then gently tap your heels on the mat and lift them again. We lift and tap and lift and tap. We're going to go for 5 more and tap, and 4 and tap, and 3 and tap. Try to keep those hips high, and 2 and tap, and the last one. And then you can place your heels all the way back down onto the floor so that we can grip through the bottom of the feet again as though you want to pull the feet towards your body. And then stay here. I'm still going to keep the height of my hips, but the arms are going to become lighter and lighter, so that we can float our arms up off the floor to the ceiling and then all the way back onto the floor behind you. We're trying to get the back of the hands to touch the floor. If you need to bend the elbows a little bit for that to happen, you can. And then imagine that someone had put 2 heavy bricks in your hands. So now your hands are just stuck down onto the floor as you breathe in. And you're going to roll down slowly through the spine, leaving the hands in the same place on the floor till we've landed back to our neutral position. Then I'm going to interlace the fingers, glide them in behind the back of the head, and we have transformed into a chest lift prep position. So the head is heavy in the hands, elbows are slightly lifted. We're going to breathe in to prepare, and then you're going to curl the head and the shoulders up and over the rib cage as though you want to shine your chest over the top of your knees. As you inhale, see if you can come up just a little higher. And then as you exhale, you'll lengthen your way back down into your mat, finding your neutral spine. Take a breath, and let's go again. We're going to curl up. So the lift is coming from under the base of the rib cage. You're constantly thinking about trying to flatten your tummy muscles, especially on the inhale. And then exhale to go all the way back down. And we've got one more coming up. Breathing in. And as it's the last one, lift to your maximum. Try to reach the bottom edge of your shoulder blades, maybe even lifting all the way off the shoulder blades. And then glide the hands out from behind the back of the head to reach your arms forward towards your legs. As we float the left leg up into tabletop for your left hand to hold the back of your left thigh, use that arm for support and then bring the other leg up to join. And then your right hand can hold your right thigh. Use your hands to curl up just that little bitty higher. Lower back should feel like it's fairly anchored against the mat before you release your arms. Take a breath. And then we will slowly reverse back down, shoulders, head, and then the arms are going to stretch back onto the floor behind you again. And then take this moment just to find your neutral spine, to do a little reset. The knees should be directly above your hips. And then we will stay here and just float the arms up towards the ceiling, turning the palms to face each other. So your arms are now just going to stay here as we go into your spine twist. So I'm going to start to tilt the pelvis towards the right. Peel the left hip up off of the floor as far as you can go, that your arms and your chest don't have to move, because you've got to come back again on the exhale breath. And then we go over to the left hand side. Inhale as you twist. And exhale draws you back through to the center. Keep the legs squeezing together. We're going to do 2 more each way. Remember to keep the knees stacked one on top of the other, so it's really a feeling of the inside leg having to lift up and over the outside leg as you twist. And we inhale 1 more time each way. The arms don't move at all, the head doesn't move at all. And then we'll bring it back to the center after your last one. Just press pause in the center here. And we're going to place the hands, the palms of the hands, lightly against the front of your thighs. So against the section of your thighs that you can see. And then don't let your thighs move. That's why your hands are there, to check that your thighs don't move as you try to straighten your knees as much as you can with your thighs staying in the same place, so directly above your hips. If your hamstrings are tight, you might still need a little bend in your knees, totally fine, as long as the thighs are where they need to be. Then the arms are going to come out into a low V position with the palms facing up. Collarbones broad, little bit of pressure into the back of your arms and your shoulder blades. For corkscrew prep, we're going to go straight into it. So we're going to tilt the pelvis over to the right like a spine twist. And then you're going to open up the angle of your hip to let those legs lower down so that you can draw a circle around your tailbone. Pick the legs up on the left-hand side and then slice them back through to the center so they're back above your pelvis. And then we go the other way. So we're going to alternate direction. We inhale over to the left. Then exhale to draw your circle. There's a little bit of momentum in that circle, and then center. If it becomes too intense, you can go back to having your knees bent to 90. Otherwise, try to keep the legs straight as they slice and circle through the air. Inhale as they go to the side. Exhale for the circle. So this is all about that lower abdominals. You got to work the lower abdominals to control the movement of the pelvis. Let's go 1 more time each direction. And make sure that you are finishing by going over to the left, circling around, and then finish back in the center. After your last one, can bend your legs back to tabletop. We're not quite done yet though. Try to keep those legs lifted. Just place the hands on the back of your thighs, and as you curl up into a chest lift, slide your hands up your thighs to hold onto the back of your legs to help you come into a nice high chest lift so that you feel your lower back is supported against the mat. Before we place both hands on top of your right knee, your left leg is going to reach out on a long diagonal, and we're actually going to squeeze that right knee in towards our chest as tight as you can this time. I know we don't always do that in single leg stretch, but for today, let's give that hip a little squeeze. And then you're going to switch and grab the other leg, and switch and grab, and switch and grab, alternating between the right and the left. And we go 2 more each leg. And 1 more time going right, and then finish with your left leg in your hands. Stay holding your left leg and rest your head and your right leg down onto the floor just to give it a little squeeze into that hip. And to take a little moment of recovery. Then we're going to go into a little twisty glute stretch from here. So I'm actually going to place my left hand down on the floor with the palm facing up so that I can use my right hand to pull my left leg across the body over to the other side of your mat. So at this point, my right hand is on the top of my left leg. If I was looking at you from the ceiling, I'd see your hand before I see the leg. Maybe you can get the leg all the way down to the floor. I can't, but some people can. So just kind of go within a comfortable twisting range for you. Hold it for 2 deep breaths. Maybe if you're lucky, you get a little click in the lower back. I often get it when I do this stretch. And then we'll bring it back through the center and we'll switch the legs. So we're going to start by just hugging the right knee into the chest as the left leg straightens out. So start with just the squeeze. Then the right arm will go down to the floor with the palm facing up. That arm just stays heavy and relaxed on the floor as you use the left hand to take your leg across your midline over to the other side of your mat. So you can let pretty much everything twist away from the mat as long as your right arm is staying down and you feel like you're in a comfortable, stretched position for your body. Hold for 2 breaths. So I'm using that left hand, I'm pressing through the hand as if I want to push my knee down to the floor. And then we'll unravel and we'll come back through to the center again. I'm going to stay actually holding the right leg though. So I've still got the right leg up and we're going to place both of the hands on the back of your right thigh. So I've interlaced hands on the back of the thigh. Curl your head up off the mat and then use your leg to help draw you up to sitting so that we can come to sit. We're going to go straight into back support from here. So 2 straight legs out in front of you. Legs are squeezing together and then we're going to step our hands back. So roughly 3 steps backwards with your hands. You want to have enough space that when you push up, you have your shoulders above your wrists. Then I'm going to press through the arms. I'm doing it with my fingers facing out to the sides of the room. My wrists prefer it that way. But if you've been doing Pilates a while and you know that you can do it with the fingers facing towards your body, you're welcome to do it that way. That's the more kind of traditional way to do it if you can. So we're going to straighten out through the spine, broaden through the chest, and at this point I am pushing with 100% capacity into my arms. My arms are already working to their maximum and they just stay doing that. All I'm going to add is the push of the feet into the floor to hinge my hips up. Eyes will travel with you, so you'll end up looking towards the ceiling. And then you can lower yourself back down, just tap the floor because the arms are still working at 100%. We're going to do 2 more. Exhale as you press up, turn yourself into a little ski slope. Inhale to come back down. As you press up for that last one, try to reach your toes for the mat. So it's a strong point through the ankle, and then you'll gently lower back down. Then you can let the weight kind of sink into your hips a little bit here, but I'm going to keep the arms where they are, but I'm not now pushing 100% capacity. Let's say 50% capacity for your arms to take a little break. And we're just going to lift through the leg. So I want your right leg to stay straight. And from that hip, you're going to lift the leg as high as you can get it to go, that you can keep this shape to your body, which might just be like a centimeter off the mat, or maybe your leg goes all the way up towards the ceiling. It really depends on your flexibility and the strength in that hip flexor. Let's stick with the right leg 2 more times. We're going to lift and down. And 1 more time, lift and down. Then the left leg gets a chance to shine. We're going to go left leg lifts and taps. 2 more, lift. And it's a super straight leg, active through your quad muscles. And then we'll place both feet back down. Now we are going to add that into our back support. If it's too intense or if you feel any pain in the back of your knees, please feel free to bend your knees slightly so that you can grip a little bit more through your hamstrings. Otherwise, you can join me with straight legs. We're going to do the same thing. So push 100% capacity through your arms, then add the push of the feet to hinge up into back support. Send all of the weight into your left leg so that your right leg is free to go up and then tap the floor. And 2 more and tap the floor. And 1 more and then down, and then press the weight into your right leg so that your left leg can go up and tap. 2 more. And tap. 1 more, try to touch the ceiling, and then both feet down, take a breath and hinge back down again, lowering the pelvis to the mat. Taking the hands off the floor, you can give your wrists a little bit of a spin, kind of let them recover, and then we will set up for your forward spine stretch. So if you know that you struggle to sit upright on your mat, you're welcome to sit on something here. You can grab onto a cushion or maybe a yoga block if you have a yoga block handy at home. The most important thing here is that your back starts in an upright position, or as close to as you can get it to be. You could also have a little bend in the knees if you need it. The feet are strongly flexed, arms are just straight out in front. We're going to take a breath there. And we're going to exhale to dive forward. So I'm diving through the legs into that forward spine stretch. Ideally, your hands should be able to kind of be in between your ankles. Obviously, if you're very flexible and you go further, that's fine. But if you're struggling to get to that point, maybe bend the knees a little bit more so that you can get to that point. And we'll stay here and actually place the hands on the outside of your legs so that you can grip with your hands and pull yourself a little bit closer towards the floor. Then we'll release the hands again, take a breath and roll back up again to stack your spine till it's nice and upright. Think of your spine here as like a pole, like a very straight pole. The arms are then going to reach out into a T position with the palms facing up. Your legs don't move at all, but we are going to twist that pole so that you end up shining your chest towards one side of the room. Then come through the center and go the other way. We're just doing one each way, so that when you come back to the center, the arms come forward as you breathe in, and then you dive forward again. So we're kind of combining the twist with the forward spine stretch. We'll stay forward, take the hands onto the outside of the legs, give yourself a little bit of a pull with the arms. Then we'll release the arms again, take a breath, and roll up, draw in with the abdominals. Stack your spine as though you could grow a little bit taller as you sweep the arms out. Inhale, exhale to twist through the waist. Inhale through center, and then twist the other way. And center, arms come forward as you breathe in. And we go one more time. We're gonna dive our way forward through the spine. Hold on to the legs to go a little further. Try to keep the back of the neck long here though. I'm not pushing my chin into the chest. We want to keep the neck lengthened. Then we'll release the arms as you breathe in and exhale, roll back up to stack your spine. Grow a little taller, sweep the arms out on the inhale. As you twist, make sure the legs don't move. The legs are staying still, and center. And then over to the other side. And back to the center, and then you can relax your arms. We're going to bend the knees. If you were sitting on something, you can move it out the way now. We don't need to sit on anything for this next one. We're going to have the knees bent. Make sure that you've got enough space behind you on your mat to be able to roll around, because we're going to be moving into rolling like a ball. And then holding onto the back of the thighs, we're going to pull slightly through the arms to lengthen the spine. Take a breath. And then tuck the tail in and start to round the spine backwards. So you're going into kind of like a seated cat stretch position with your spine. Then you may have to slide your feet a little closer towards you in order for them to become lighter. And then we'll lift the feet off the floor and try to lift the feet till it looks and feels like your shins are parallel to the floor, parallel to the mat. And then we're going to keep this position to the legs and the spine. So I'm keeping the flexion to the spine. I'm staying rounded, but I'm going to release the arms. My eyes are looking just over the top of the legs. Arms stay free unless you need them. If you're struggling in this position, feel free to use your hands on the back of your legs to help you and guide you into the movement. Then the right leg is going to start to reach away from you. It's going to straighten and it's going to tap the floor. Then it's going to lift and come back in. Then we'll alternate legs. So now we'll go left leg will reach, go down, lift, come back in. 2 more each way. You inhale as the leg goes away from you so that you've got the exhale breath to bring it back in. Inhale away and tap. Exhale, bring it and keep drawing your tummy muscles in. We've got 1 more each leg. The neck and the shoulders stay comfortably relaxed. And then you'll bring it back again. And then we'll hold this position and you're going to try to bring your feet closer towards your sitting bones so that your hands can reach around to hold onto your ankles or your shins. And then I'm going to drop my eye line to look towards my thighs so that we're in a rolling like a ball position. Arms stay nice and light. And we're going to inhale to roll back to the shoulder blades and exhale to come back to your little perch without letting the feet touch the mat. So use just the right amount of momentum for you to get that. Eyes stay looking in at your legs. And it should feel kind of like you're gliding along the mat, a smooth movement. If there was somebody in the room next door, they shouldn't be able to hear you clunking along the floor. It should feel very kind of graceful. And a lift. It's all about the abdominals. I'm not using my arms. I'm not using my legs. I'm trying not to. Let's go for 2 more. Inhale as you roll back. Exhale as you lift. One more time. Every chance is a chance to get a little bit more control. And then we're all going to meet back on our little perch again. So without letting the feet touch the floor, just find your balance. And we're going to set up to go into a prep for open leg rocker. So I'm going to switch the grip of my hand so that I'm holding underneath my ankles or the calves. You might have to hold the calves. And then I'm going to lift the feet up and I'm going to open my legs out a little bit wider than my hips. So I've got my shins again sort of parallel to the mat with the bend in the knees. If you feel very kind of restricted here, like I say, slide the hands a little bit lower, more onto your calves rather than the ankles. And then I'm going to try and flatten out my spine while I'm here. So I'm going to lift the eyes and straighten out the back. Then as slowly as you can, you're going to be rounding. If you want to watch the first one, maybe actually, I think because we haven't done these a lot in class. If you're unsure of where we're going, watch the first one and then have a go. So I'm going to round my spine. As I round my spine, I use the abdominals to roll back in this shape. And then I come back and catch myself in my little perch and I try to straighten out the back. So I'm going to say, try like 2 or 3 of these. Feel it out for yourself. So rounding. You need to keep your spine rounded for the rolling around, but then we're going to try and flatten the spine as you come back. And then if you want to go all the way for the full expression, this is a little bit hamstring flexibility orientated, but see how straight you can get your knees to be in this position. So open leg rocker ideally has straight legs, but you can keep them bent. I'm going to pull slightly through the arms to try to get that straightness to the spine to begin with. And then the legs stay straight as we round the spine, roll back. Round the spine to come back onto your perch and then try to flatten your back out here. What you could do if you want to try with the straight legs but you're struggling to come back up is to have the straight legs at this phase, but when you do the rolling you can bend the knees slightly and then try to straighten the legs when you come back up. So the trick is definitely coming back up and being able to stay up. You'll feel it's heavy and your body kind of wants to stay backwards on the mat. So I'm going to say try another 5 of these in your own time. Play around with how much momentum you need versus how much control. You definitely need to lift the bum fairly high to use the weight of your hips coming back down again to bring you back. And let's go for another 2. And when you have finished your last one, whenever that may be, you can gently place your feet back down onto the floor. Then I'm going to step my feet out nice and wide, so all the way out to the edges of my mat. Place the hands just comfortably behind you and rock your knees over to the side, trying to get both of the knees to touch onto the floor here. They don't necessarily have to, but that's just where we're sort of aiming. And then you can roll through the pelvis and take the legs over to the other side, same thing. So this is just a little hip stretch, just to release your hips. Now let's roll 2 more times each way. And then we will come back to our center of our mat and we're going to get ready for some roll-ups. So 2 straight legs out in front of you. If you know you need a little bit of support in your back for roll-ups, you can use a towel like I'm doing in the video, or you could even just use like a hoodie or a shirt that you've rolled up once or twice to go into the spot where your lower back will be against the mat to help you come back up. And it could be that one day you do need the towel and the next day you don't. So maybe try without and then see how it feels. If you do need it, you can pop it in. So I'm going to start with shoulders above hips. I'm nicely stacked through the spine. And instead of leaning forward, you're just going to round the section of your spine between your shoulders and your hips. So I'm actively drawing in through the abdominals to create that shape. I'm going to take a breath there, and then I'm going to keep the shape of the spine and roll roll back into your mat or into your towel if you have the towel. Once we've lengthened into the mat, your arms are going to stretch back behind you to tap the floor. Then arms will float back up. Inhale, breath to lift back into your chest lift. And exhale, we're going to peel our way up. Again, taking the shoulders maybe just forward over the hips, but I'm not going as far forward as I can. I'm trying to keep the shape of the spine. Take a breath, and we've got 2 more. We're going to roll down. Articulate your spine into your mat, flow through your spine. Arms finish the movement, reaching back behind you. Then they lift. Inhale for your chest lift so that you've got the whole of your exhale breath to peel you up off of your mat. Shoulders coming just forward over the hips. Breathe in. And one more time with as much control as you can get. Try to be in the middle of your mat as well. If you feel that you start to drift to one side, try to correct yourself. Then we go arms up. Inhale to your chest lift. And we're going to peel up all on an exhale. Now, if you did have a towel behind your back, now's the chance for you to move it out the way because we don't need it for this next exercise. So instead of rolling all the way down, I want you to just roll off the back edge of your sitting bones like 1/4 of the way down so that we can bring our right leg up and grab the back of the right thigh. So I'm going to let that leg feel quite heavy in my hands to use the leg to slow me down as we roll back just into a chest lift. So lower back and mid back are touching, but I'm going to keep my shoulders and head lifted to begin with so that I can see my leg as I straighten it up towards the ceiling. So we're looking to straighten out that right leg towards the sky. And then once it's there, we're going to leave it there. We'll release the hands, lower your head down to the floor and place the hands onto your hip bones as just a little self-check to make sure that your pelvis stays still for our leg circles. If it's too tight in the legs here, you have the option of bending your left knee to place that foot on the floor. But ideally, we want to try to get both legs to be as straight as you can manage. Then we're going to flex the right ankle, the one that's in the air, and we'll start to take your right leg just across your midline of your body towards the left, but without lifting the hip. Drop the leg down, circle it around, and then back up to the ceiling. And we go across, down, and around, and across, down. There is definitely, again, that little element of momentum, that feeling of a swing as the leg goes around. One more time. The left leg is staying still, completely still. Then we're going to reverse the direction of your circle, so the leg will open out to the right-hand side, drop, and go across the midline of your body and up. Draw the circle as big as you feel that you have control. So maybe it's smaller than my circle, maybe it's bigger than my circle, but the pelvis should feel like it's under control. Use your abdominals for that and go one more time. After your last one, we're just going to bend the right leg back to 90. Hands come back to the back of the thigh so that you can glide your hands up your thigh to lift your head up into a nice high chest lift. I've got my lower back kind of grounded into the mat here. Your left leg, which is still straight, is going to float up until it looks and feels like the toes are the same height from the floor. So now your legs are in your crisscross setup. You want to leave them there. Speak to your abdominals, tell them that they need to take the load of your legs because you're going to release your hands, interlace your fingers behind the back of your head, and then rotate your chest towards the right to look just past your lifted thigh. Then we move through the center and we go over to the left as you switch the legs, and we switch to the right and left and right and left. Remember to breathe and left, and we go 2 more each side. Right and left, and the last one, finish on the left hand side. Keep your legs in that position, bring your chest back to the center, hold the back of your left thigh. Then lower your right leg down to the floor, straighten your left leg up towards the ceiling, leave the leg there as your head goes down and your hands hold your hips. Again, you could bend the knee slightly of the leg that's on the mat if you need it. Flex through your foot that's in the air. Take that left leg just across the midline towards the right so that it goes across your right leg, down and around. And across, down and around. And across, around. Let's go for 2 more this direction and around. 1 more. And pause, and then ready to reverse. Let's open to the left and go across the right leg and up. Same thing, the circle is as big as you have control. Keep the flex, keep the leg actively straight. Let's go for 2 more, and around. And the last one, and around. Then you can bend that knee to 90. Place your foot back onto the mat, slide your leg out so that you've got 2 straight legs along the mat, and then roll over to lie on your side. Rolling around to set up in your side lift position. So I'm going to be with my head resting on my bottom arm. The palm of my bottom hand is facing up towards the ceiling so that I'm not tempted to push into the floor with that hand. That arm is just kind of relaxed. Both legs completely straight, top hand resting on your top thigh. The legs should feel like they're the same length. You want to pull in from the abdominals, draw the rib cage in slightly as well from the front of the body. Then float your legs just up off the floor. If you need your hand for balance, you can put it on the mat in front of your chest. Otherwise, we're going to keep it on the thigh as you take a breath. And exhale to lift the legs a little bit higher. So I'm lifting from my waist. And then lowering back to the hover so they don't actually touch the floor. And then I lift again. And back to the hover. And exhale, lift. Imagine you just had one big leg rather than 2 separate legs. You're lifting that one leg up as a unit and lowering it down. Think about trying to get extra little creases in that top waist as the leg goes up. And we go there. Video Sue's demonstrating beautifully there. And down. And let's go for your last 2. And hover. And the last 1. Then we're going to come back to the hover. So I'm actually going to keep the legs slightly lifted. And we're going to externally rotate those legs. So you'll see that my heels have rotated towards each other. The knees have rotated out slightly. And the arm is going to float up towards the ceiling with the palm facing forward. Unless you need it for balance, then you can keep the hand on the mat in front of your chest. The legs stay beautifully straight, and we're going to go for a walk. One leg goes slightly forward as one leg goes back. Then they go past each other and the other way. So inhale as one leg comes forward. Exhale as the other leg comes forward. Focus on keeping the bottom leg straight when it goes back because it's going to want to bend. That one always wants to bend. So super straight knee, and you are pulling the leg towards the back edge of your mat. The top leg, it's easy. The bottom leg is a little harder. And we're going to go for your last 2 each way. Remember to keep breathing. 1 more. Then legs back to the center. They're going to meet in the middle again, and then they'll lower all the way down to the floor. We're going to stay on this side, but you're going to push up onto your elbow. So elbow underneath your shoulder. I've got the whole of my forearm into the mat here. The knees will stay as they are, but I'm going to bend them so that my feet are now pointing towards the wall behind me. Press into that bottom arm to get some lift under the armpit and the rib cage, and then place your other hand, gently on your top thigh so that we're ready for a little side plank. So I'm going to press into the bottom arm and my knees to lift the hips. I'm working that bottom waist, and at this point, your elbow should be under your shoulder. When gently come down, if it wasn't under the shoulder, just adjust. Bring your elbow where you need it to be. Eyes stay looking forward unless your neck is taking strain. Then you can look down at your bottom elbow. It'll take the pressure off the neck a little bit. We're going to exhale, lift, and inhale down. We've got 2 more. Exhale, press up, and then gently down. And on your last one, we are going to hold it there for 3, 2, 1, and then gently down. You're welcome to do a second set like this if you want to, but if you're ready to level up, we're going to go with straight legs. So we'll straighten out the knees. I'm flexing my ankles so my feet are one on top of the other, and I've got nice active ankle joints. Squeeze the legs together, and then exactly the same thing. Push through the bottom arm, lift through the waist, take a breath, and then we will lift those hips up, pushing through the arm, pushing through the legs, and then gently lower down. Exhale as you press up. You're trying to get your spine to sort of straighten out, and then lower back down. And let's go for 2 more. Lift from the bottom waist. You want to make space for like a Labrador to be able to walk in underneath you. 1 more time, and we hold. Push through that bottom leg. We stay for 3, 2, and 1. And then you can gently lower all the way back down again. And we've got 1 more side to go. So you can sweep your legs around to the other side of your mat. to lie down, ready for your side lifts, head resting on your bottom arm, 2 straight legs. Your legs should feel like they are the same length, unless you know that you legitimately have one leg longer than the other. Top hand is going to rest on your top thigh. Draw in from your abdominals. If you had a wall behind you, an imaginary wall, you would be in a neutral spine against that wall as we float the legs just up off the floor. Take a breath and exhale, lift them a little higher, lifting from that upper waist and back down. If you need the hand on the mat for balance, you can pop it on the mat. Try to keep it light though, so you're not pushing into the hand too much. You're just using it to stop you from wobbling if you are wobbling. And it could be that one side you feel great and super strong, and the other side you need the hand. For 4 and 3. Remember, you've just got one big leg, not 2 separate legs. 2. And the last one, lift from the waist. Then we'll keep the legs floating. Take your arm up towards the ceiling with the palm facing forward and externally rotate the legs slightly. So I'm just spinning so that it's the heels that are rotating towards each other. Your toes don't need to be touching. And then we go for a walk with nice straight legs. You're still reaching your feet to the opposite end of the room as they walk. One leg forward, one leg back. Reach through the leg that's going back. That's the one that's doing most of the work. Bringing your legs in front of you is nice and easy. And we switch. If you need your hand for balance, pop it down. Just keep your neck as relaxed as possible. And switch. And switch. Remember, inhale one leg forward, exhale the other leg forward. And let's go for 3 more each leg. 2 more each leg. And 1 more. Keep breathing. Center the legs again. And then lower them all the way down to the floor so that we can push up onto our elbow. Elbow under the shoulder. Bend the knees first so the feet are pointing back behind you. Use the whole of your forearm into the mat, not just the kind of pointy end of your elbow. Top hand on the thigh. We're going to breathe in, already pushing through that bottom arm, and then exhale, you lift and gently down. If the neck is taking strain, just look down at your bottom elbow and we lift. And we tap down. And we're going for 2 more. And a tap. And 1 more. We're going to hold it there for 3, 2, 1. And gently down. You can do a second set with the bent knees if you'd like, or you can straighten them out. Flex through the ankle joint so you've got strong ankles. Take a breath, push through the arm and lift. And gently down. Exhale as you press up. Most of the work is going to be in that bottom leg. The top leg is just squeezing down into your bottom leg. Last 2. And your last one, we are going to hold it for 3, 2, 1. And gently all the way down. And then let's just roll over to lie on our tummies. Setting up to go into a swan. So I'm going to have my arms in a kind of narrow goalpost position, quite close to the body, hands just slightly higher than your shoulders, and then open your legs out a little bit wider than your hips. Again, with the heels rotating inwards slightly. So with the legs open, the hips are open, you're drawing in through your abdominals, and we are rolling the shoulder blades back. So I'm already thinking about lifting my shoulders slightly from the mat before I go anywhere else. We're going to start with your mini swan. So you're going to start to lengthen through the spine. Your head, your chest are going to start to rise, opening the collarbones, and then grip through the hands into the floor as though you're trying to pull your chest forward and through, and then keep using those arms until you feel that your rib cage can start to float up off of the mat. And then we reverse back down, rib cage, and then the rest of the spine coming down till your nose almost touches the floor. So we're going to inhale to extend until the ribs start to hover off the floor, and then exhale to come back down. And one more time, keep the arms nice and narrow, elbows next to the body. Inhale, lift, and exhale down. Now we're going to go as far as you feel comfortable in your back. It is a stretch for the back though, so you will feel that. We're going to inhale, start to lift head and chest, articulate through the spine, hover the rib cage, and then if you want to go further, potentially going all the way to straight arms. and then reverse back down again. The legs are just staying down. We're just working the upper body. Inhale as you lift up all the way to your maximum. Exhale as we roll back down. And one more time. Head, chest, draw the shoulder blades down, open up through the collarbones. And then exhale to come all the way back down. Then the upper body will stay exactly as it is, but we're going to walk the legs together. So you can just kind of wiggle them in till your legs are touching in the center of the mat. Ideally with the heels touching. I don't mind too much whether the toes are touching or not, but we want to get the heels to try to touch. Inner thighs zipped up together. Little bit of pressure through the arms so that your head is just floating off the floor before we reach through your legs and then float the legs up off the floor. They don't have to lift very high because they're still straight, super straight legs floating. That's going to be from the glutes. You got to squeeze the bum cheeks to get the legs to lift. If you feel comfortable in this position, you can lift the head and the chest slightly higher with a little bit of pressure into the arms. We're going to stay here. Keep the kneecaps floating, keep the legs squeezing together, and just slowly start to bend your knees. At the same time, we're going to bend them to the count of 3, 2, and by 1, you should have about a 90-degree bend in the back of your knees. They're still trying to squeeze. If they've come apart a little bit, it's okay. And then we'll slowly lengthen them out again to the count of 3, 2, and 1. They're still lifted. We go again. We bend for 3, 2, 1, and inhale back out again for 3, 2, 1, and exhale. We bend for 3, 2, 1, and slowly back out. Keep the squeeze, keep the lift. We've got one more, and we bend for 3, 2, 1, and extend for 3, 2, all the way. And then you can lower the legs down towards the floor, push yourself up and go back into your rest position. You can open the knees out a little bit wider so that your inner thighs get a bit of a stretch. Hold for 2 more breaths. And then we're going to come onto our hands and knees again. So bring your knees back into a hip width apart position before we slide the hands back towards the knees to roll all the way up and be on high knees. From there, I'm going to interlace the fingers behind the back of the head. I'm going to turn around so that you can see what I'm doing, but you don't necessarily have to move unless you'd like to be facing towards the camera. The hips are going to stay still, or think about your pants staying still, everything facing forward as if you had a pane of glass in front of you, a glass window, and you're going to stay stuck against that glass window, but you're going to start to lean over to the left-hand side. So as you go over to the left, your right elbow will just naturally start to lift towards the ceiling. And then we'll exhale to come back to the center. And then we'll go the other way, going over to the right. As I lean, my left elbow will lift. It's okay if you're going other direction. Obviously, if you're doing a mirror image, we will do both sides. And lift. And then we're going to inhale, lean. We're going to pause here. Now, without your hips moving, rotate your upper body to look down towards your bottom knee. So I'm looking at that one knee, and I'm going to draw a little semicircle, still looking at the floor. Circle the upper body around to look at your other knee, and then open up into the side stretch on the other side. And then come back to the center, and then we're going to rotate the other way. So you'll start by going towards the side that you came from. Then you'll turn the body to look towards your knee without your hips moving. Roll around with the upper back till you're looking at the other knee. Then open yourself back into the side stretch and come back to the center. And let's do one more time each way. Inhale over to the side. Imagine you had like a little ball in front of you. You're just rolling around the ball, then lifting yourself on the other side and coming back to center. And then the last time going the other way. Inhale, twist, roll the upper back around, stretch through that thoracic, and then come back to the center. Then you can release your arms. We're going to get ready for some thigh stretches. If you know that you need a little bit of support under your knees for this, just place a cushion or maybe double up your mat under your knees. Then tuck the tailbone in, keep the hip joint nice and flat. So I'm not creasing in the hips. I'm trying to deepen the crease in the back of the knees as we go back as far as your thighs will let you go. And as we come forward, I'm going to take the arms down and slightly back behind me. As we go back, arms reach forward, inhale, exhale to lift. And we go back for another 4, and lift. And 3, and 2, and go one more time. And then we will lift, lower the head to look at the floor, roll down towards your mat. Then we're going to skip the next exercise. Is the good news for you guys. For videos who had to work hard. And we're going to come into our cat-cow stretches. So let's come onto hands and knees, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Take a breath. And then tuck the tail in and round into your cat stretch, stretching through the back. And then we're going to lengthen out and gently arch the back. Tailbone lifts, eyeline lifts. Let's do 2 more. Rounding, pushing through the arms, pushing through the shins, lengthening and then rippling into a gentle arch. And one more time. And then lengthening and out into a little arched shape to the spine. And then we are going to come into neutral. Make sure you have enough space behind you to be able to step back into a plank, that your feet will be on your mat. So if you need to come forward on your mat, come forward. If you need a little bit of support under your wrists, you could maybe put a towel just underneath kind of the heel of your wrists to soften it, because we're going to step back into full plank. So strong arms, strong broad upper back, and support from the abdominals before you slide one leg back. Make that leg straight and then keep this exact position to your spine. Just glide the other leg back to join so that we've got both legs straight. Now you can either just stay in a plank if you're happy in a plank, or if you want to join me for the push-ups, keep your body strong, let your elbows start to bend to lower down into a push-up that you know that you can push yourself back up again. And let's go 2 more. Inhale down, exhale up. 1 more. Inhale down, exhale up, and then push the sitting bones up to the sky so that you're looking at your feet, and we're going to walk the hands backwards towards the feet. Try to take fairly big steps with your hands. Bend the knees if you need to until you're on your feet. You don't need your arms anymore. Let the knees soften and then roll up through your spine all the way till we've lengthened up. Once we're standing, I'm going to roll the shoulders up and around for 5. 4, just loosening them up. 3, 2, and 1. Then head comes forward. So if you're not sure about how to walk back out into your plank position, you can watch the video, but if you know what you're doing, you can do it with me. We're going to try to do it in 3 steps. So the head will come forward. I'm going to roll down first. If you feel like you need to bend the knees, bend the knees. We're going to step with your right hand, and it's going to be 3 steps into the plank. So right hand needs to take a big step forward for 3, 2, 1. Hopefully you're in your plank setup. And then we hold there, support from the tummy. Go back to the push-ups or just hold the plank if you want to. We go down for 3 and up. Down for 2. Keep the eyes looking at the mat in front of your hands. Last 1. Push the sitting bones up to the sky. Walk the hands back towards the feet till you are standing on your feet. Arms are relaxed. Breathe in and roll up through your spine. Once we're standing, I'm going to sweep the arms up overhead. Take a breath and exhale, arms down. Now this time we are going to lead with the left hand. So your first step will be with the other hand because we did the right hand previously. So you're going to roll down, bending the knees if you need to. Big step forward with the left hand this time for 3, 2, and 1. And then we're in our plank. Now fix the upper body. I'm going to keep the arms and the shoulders in the same place. And we're going to do little twists by letting your right hip dip slightly towards the floor. So a little rotation of the pelvis. And then come through the center and over to the left. So we're going to go, one hip goes down slightly and then the other hip goes down. Keep your head and your upper body still. Twist and twist You're going for it's like 2 centimeters maybe of movement down towards the mat. Twist and twist. The legs are staying straight. Let's do one more each side. And then you can bring one knee onto your mat, bring the other knee onto the mat, roll all the way up to be on high knees again, and take a step forward with one of your feet. Tuck the back toes in behind you. Use your hands if you need to, otherwise just use the legs to press yourself up to standing. Set the feet up, hip width apart. As we breathe in, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, arms down, head forward. Finishing with a roll down towards your mat. Nice and long through the back of the neck. Hang down into that position and gently shake your head from side to side. Just a tiny little movement with your head, kind of feeling the weight of your head on your neck. Then center the head again as you take another breath and exhale to slowly roll back up again. Vertebra for vertebra until we're standing tall, and then we're all done. Well done. Hope you enjoyed the session.